Alright, what's good, y'all? What's good? We back on the Real Talk channel. Um, these first few interviews, well, I don't want to say interview. Y'all know I say that all the time. I want to say more so conversation, but these first out the mud episodes, I'm zoning in on people that's close to me and all of that because, like I tell y'all in these real talks, it's real important on who you surround yourself around. So I want y'all to kind of see like my circle and who I surround myself around and all of that because everybody has something in common and everything. So I want to give y'all these stories and all of that, and it's gonna be faces y'all seen on my channel and stuff, of course. So go ahead and introduce yourself, Terry, to everybody on this channel.
Hey everyone, my name is Terry, aka Lady Saint. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, most definitely. And of course, naturally, like she's a business owner, and all of that. Been in business. You been in business how long now?
2 years.
2 years. She's doing her thing and all of that, and doing real good with it. Got a good thing going and all that. So we gonna start from the beginning, cause Terry not a big talker like that, but we're gonna start from the beginning. So kind of, I want to know where it started at, like where you from. Tell them where you from and all of that, and like the childhood, what the childhood was like.
So I'm from Oakland, California, born and raised. Didn't leave Oakland until I was 18, 19 maybe. Yeah, I think 19. So yeah, born and raised Oakland, California. If you don't know about it, I'm pretty sure you know about it.
More definitely. So
former home of the Raiders.
So what was the childhood like out there in Oakland though? Like, what kind of stuff you had going on and you used to get into and all of that?
Honestly, I didn't really get into nothing, but
Right.
everybody else around me did.
Right.
But growing up in Oakland, you see everything. I had big cousins who were in the street, so there were I seen a lot of things. From drugs to guns to people getting shot, beat up in front of me, all that. So just growing up in the hood, you see a lot.
Right. Now, as far as childhood, cause like I said, Terry, she into the bodybuilding world and stuff, the industry. But like I told y'all, people on this channel all car related too. She's into cars and stuff too, obviously. But so your early childhood, how long have you been athletic? Into all of that.
I've been athletic. I would say I got into sports when I was 10. Got into a PAL league for basketball. And that was when I really fell in love with basketball. Was when I was 10 years old. Played basketball from then up until junior college. Would have went to a D1 school, but Transcripts was tied up in JC because I was broke. Couldn't pay for my transcripts, so I got my scholarship. Was null and void pretty much because I couldn't get my transcripts.
Right. So now let's talk about your transcripts. Like not being able to get that. Do you remember how that made you feel?
Yeah, like complete crap. Like, because it was something that I loved and enjoyed doing and wanted to pursue it to a professional level. I lost my motivation after that for basketball. Because I'm like, everything is tied to those transcripts. That's what, when it came to basketball, it was tied to those transcripts. And by the time I was able to pay them off, I was already a mother, and I'm like, I'm not about to go back and play basketball. So.
Okay, now what age was this where you lost your motivation for basketball and became a mother and stuff?
I want to say 20 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 19, 20.
Now, so at this point, you were where?
In Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. Okay, Vegas. Now, how did that change your life? Like, how did it affect your life and all that between like the transcripts and becoming a mother?
after, I guess, the transcript situation, I went through a really tough time. Ended up getting a job, losing a job, end up becoming homeless. Not, then me and my sister actually had moved out to Vegas together, but we ended up parting ways within Vegas. She got her own place, I got my own place, and I fell on really hard times, and in Vegas. And what happened was that I ended up moving back home after a year being out there, because everything just fell apart. It was like Vegas was not meant for me to be in, so I was like, I'm gonna heat this morning, I'm gonna take my butt back home.
Okay.
And that's exactly what I did. Probably like a week within being back home, I ended up getting a job. So I was like, okay, things are starting to look back up, starting to work out. Relationship started picking up. That started working out, and then probably like a year and a half later, I got pregnant. Still wanted to play basketball before I got pregnant, but once I got pregnant, I was like, yeah, that's out the door.
Right.
Because it's like being a mom, trying to play basketball, it's like kind of hard, especially on a college level. It's like I gotta worry about school, studying, and basketball, and trying to be a mom at 22, 23. So.
Right. Now let's rewind your story. Now how the homeless? How did you end up dealing with that? And how long did you have to deal with it?
Well, I was homeless twice. Before I moved to Vegas, due to a situation with my aunt, where I wanted to take over, because my mom passed away when I was 15. She was a single mom. And after she passed away, my aunt took us in, put us in an apartment. We didn't even move in with her, me and my sister that's close in age. We moved into a 2-bedroom apartment by ourselves at 15 and 16 years old. So you can imagine what our lives was like.
Yeah, most definitely.
Friends all night, nobody went home. Everybody spent the night. No, parental supervision. She'd come check on us probably like once a day, maybe probably 3 times a week. It really depends on how her week is going and how much she got going on.
Right.
But after my sister moved out of the apartment because she wanted to take over her Social Security payments, my aunt got mad, or they got into it because of that. And she said, and I guess she told my sister that, well, you have to pay rent and you have to do this and you have to do all that. So my sister moved out, and I ended up moving into the apartment, into my aunt's house for about from 16 up until 18. I was at my aunt's house. And when I became 18, I pretty much told my aunt the same thing. Like, I'm 18, I want to learn how to manage my money. And plus I want to know where my money's going and where it's been going. Because I didn't see none of that money the whole time, from 15 all the way up to 18. I didn't even know how much Social Security I was getting each month. So, I asked her about it, and she was like, well, you have to pay rent. She gave me all these rules, but I have to pay rent. You have to be in the house by, 10 p.m., and you got to buy your own food, and you got to do all this. I'm like, well, if I'm paying rent, I can come and go as I please. If I'm buying my own food, I can do whatever I want. I'm not going to do anything to disrespect you. I'm not going to sneak nobody in your house, but I can come and go as I please, and I'm a very quiet person. So once she gave me all those rules, after telling me I had to pay rent, I decided to leave. I had nowhere to go, so I was living in my car. And then my uncle found out, so I was living in my car probably for like about a month or so. And then my uncle found out what was going on, and he let me come move with him. He was like, you just have to put food in the house. Like, you don't even have to pay no rent, just put food in the house. So I was like, okay, I can do that. So I bought groceries every week,
Shout out to the uncle.
So that was like from 18 to 19, and then 19 I moved to Vegas with my sister. She convinced me to move to Vegas. I didn't want to go immediately, but she's a Leo and I'm an Aquarius, so she kind of manipulated me into like, come on, go now, because I had plans to, you know, get into EMS at that very young age. And she was like, no, you can do it out there. Just come to Vegas. So we ended up moving to Vegas. I wasn't mentally or financially ready. So I rushed myself. So, you know, spent the whole year in Vegas. Nothing worked out. Nothing. Basketball, you know, when I first went out there, I got on the basketball squad with one of the JCs. It was doing good. It was a first year program. You know, I enjoyed it. And then, you know, towards the end of the season, it was like, we're going to cut the program because, you know, the boys and the girls wasn't doing so well. So they didn't want to spend any money on it. So, you know, between that time with, just, you know, between that time of me going to school, you know, I had A's and B's at the time, and then come around November, my sister was like, I can't support you anymore. You got to get a job. And I'm like, fuck.
Right,
I got to get a job? Like, you know I'm a student athlete. Like, how I'm going to play basketball? How am I going to go to school? How am I going to do all this? Like, I don't know how to figure this shit out, and I'm 19 years old.
Right.
You know? And so my sister was like, you got to get a job. So I was like, I went home for Thanksgiving. I visited, you know, one of my best friends or whatever at the time. I went home for Thanksgiving, spent like a week out there, came back, got a job. I was like, shit, I can't play. If I got a full-time job, I can't play basketball. I can barely even go to school with a full-time job right now, you know? So I just dropped out pretty much of basketball, you know, still went to school at the time up until the end of the semester. And, you know, things, you know, I had that job probably for like about 3 months. It was in sales at AT&T store, selling cell phones, you know, and I was in a really bad area because they had moved me to a new store that didn't have any equipment, didn't have any cell phones, just had a printer and some written up contracts, you know. So it's like, okay, you want me to build this store, but one, I'm the only person in here. There's no manager here, you know. So I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to sell cell phones when this store is empty as hell and there ain't no inventory, no nothing? So it's like they set me up for failure. When that happened, they let me go. So I lost my job. Around that time, also, that's when my sister decided, like, I'm going to get my own apartment. So, because we had a friend who came out to visit, and she made it extended stay and made my sister believe that she was moving in with us. And I was like, well, if you move in, you're going to have to pay rent. And then when my sister got wind of that, my sister moved out. So that left me alone. And then what happened is that this friend, talking about, well, after those 2 weeks or whatever, when it was time for, or after a whole month actually, when it was time for rent was due, she was like, I'm moving back home.
Yeah.
So I was stuck with a 2-bedroom rent on a very minimum wage job, which was really based on commission. So I wasn't getting paid crap because I was in a shit store to begin with. I lost my car around that time. I got repoed. I remember that day. I was at work. I just seen a tow truck pulling in front of my damn car. Yeah. I was like, wait, hold on, wait, can I just get my stuff out the car? Because I'm really not supposed to, but, you know, I'll let you because you being, you know, respectful and nice, you know, because people is usually just, like, angry with repo dudes. I'm like, shit, I know I ain't paid my car note in 3 months. Right. You know, I'm trying to. You make $1 out of 15 cents, but it's just not rubbing together properly.
Yeah, more definitely.
So, I ended up losing my car. I lost my car in Vegas. My credit went to shit in Vegas, you know. And then I ended up getting evicted out of the apartment because I couldn't afford the rent. End up moving in with a friend's friends who had an extra room. I was able to pay the rent probably for like 1 month, and then it was like, can't do it no more because I ended up losing my job. I remember not having no food. I remember making my last lick of food. It was rice, eggs, and ground turkey or ground beef or something. And I literally made all that together, mixed it up in a giant bowl, and it probably lasted me like a whole week. And I remember the last day, I was like, shit, this is all I got. I ain't got nothing else to eat. Like,
Right.
and it's probably my last day in this house. So, you know, just looking back on Vegas in general, it's just like, man.
So Vegas was
I'm
just
like, Vegas was shit to
turmoil,
me.
yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, even to this day, I'm like, my sisters be like, move back to Vegas, because Sheila still lives there. So
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck no, I come
Nah.
to visit, but Vegas was shit to me. What
It's
makes you
over
think
with.
I want to move back to Vegas in any
Okay.
form? You know? So, yeah, I'm like, yeah, Vegas was not for me.
Yeah, so Vegas.
God kicked me out of Vegas completely. That's where I'm gonna put that. He kicked me out of Vegas. I ended up moving back home. But let me tell you about the times, you know, let me tell you, go back to the story, you know, go back to the story with the last little bit of food. So I remember that day, ate my last meal. It was probably like, I slept up until noon, because I'm like, shoot, I really ain't got nothing to eat, so I might as well just sleep, you know?
Yeah.
So I remember getting a phone call from, you know, we call him our godfather at the time, but he was like a family friend or whatever. And he had moved to Vegas and became like a limo driver and everything. And like, if it wasn't for him around that time, up until I moved back home, I would have starved. He also had this, his little baby, his little Camaro. It was like I forgot what year, it was like an 80-something Camaro, you know. And it always overheated, but it was like means to get around. Like if it overheated, we just sit in the car in the hot ass Vegas until it just cooled the hell off.
Yeah, take off again.
But he lent me that car, you know, for like a little bit or whatever until it just gave out. And like I remember him calling me every day, just out of the blue, every day. Terry, you want to go to a buffet? Yeah. He didn't know I was starving. You know, I didn't tell nobody what was going on. I didn't even tell my sister what was going on with me.
Yeah.
She just knew that, you know, I just told her one day, you know, I need to move back home. I'm moving back home. Like, nobody knew what was going on with me. Because I'm just a private person, you know, even with family. Like, I'm not telling nobody nothing. I'm just going to struggle through it, and I'm just going to figure a way out and, you know, make something happen. But up until the day I moved back home to Oakland, I moved in with my oldest sister, who was still living in Oakland at the time. And I slept on her couch for like about 2-3 months. But I remember the first week, I had ended up filling out an application before I even moved to Vegas. Got an interview the first week I was back. Got hired at a call center for like a credit card company. You know, it was paying, you know, decent money at the time. It was like $13 an hour. So I was like, dang, okay, God looking out for me. First week back, got a job. Okay, this is supposed to be. You know, it was me. And then like a guy that I was seeing before I moved to Vegas, our relationship picked up. You know, we ended up becoming serious. He ended up becoming my son's father, my firstborn's father. You know, life was, you know, pretty decent and good for, you know, about 4.5 years. I was
4.5 years.
Yeah.
So, okay, 4.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what happened after that? And when we haven't got up to the point where you decided, hey, I want to train serious, and this is what I want to do. We haven't got up to that point yet, right?
Nope. Well, even back then, I was interested in personal training, fitness, because I'm like, I don't play basketball no more. I just might as well just stay within the fitness field. So I was, you know, I was going to school for sports medicine at the time, and I was getting my certification as a personal trainer as well. I had got certified back in 2008, first time. But I didn't really do anything with it because I became a mom.
Right.
But I was always into fitness, always an athlete, always just trying to stay athletic in general. So I always knew that I was going to be in some dealing with fitness and health and sports. So, what was the question again? I'm sorry.
No, you hit on it. We were just talking about whether we had passed where you got into fitness and all of that in the story, but
Yeah.
okay, so that started early too, early on. So okay, four and a half years, everything's okay. All right, so what happened after that? And you still at the time you're still in Vegas, right?
No, I'm back home.
Back home, my
Cali.
bad. Back home, yeah. Oh, okay.
So I'm back home in Cali. 4.5 years. Had a good relationship for about 4 years, and in that half-year relationship went to crap. I guess after that, like I've told you, like I've always bounced around from a lot of things, just because one, I have a lot of talents. Two, I'm very artsy. So it's like I can draw. I used to sing. I used to design clothes. Photography, fitness. So it's like I've always bounced around instead of honing in on one thing. And that's just something I've always done ever since I was younger. It's a hindrance, more so to say. It's good to have a lot of talents, but when you are so scatterbrained to the point where you can't just focus on one thing until it takes off and then move on to the next, it becomes a hindrance, and it takes you on a detour of life instead of keeping you on a path, a straight path that will get you to your purpose or your destiny. So I've dealt with that a lot throughout life.
Okay.
Yeah, squirrel brain again.
So okay. So now 4.5 years, you moved back home. The relationship went down. Now what happens after that? Like when did you get to where you decided I'm about to make a move? Cause that's a big thing. You literally moved across
country.
Yeah.
When I was probably like 12 years later, or 11 years later, where I moved cross country.
What got you to that point where you just decided I'm ready to take off? Cause it takes some guts.
It did take some guts, but it was my son. He was doing bad at school. His father lived in Atlanta at the time. My son had came out, for the summer to visit his dad, and we had a talk about him. We had a talk about our son staying with him for school since he wasn't performing pretty well. And I was like, no, he can come back home. I'm like, my son ain't moving across country without me.
Right.
If anything, we'll move out there together. So it ended up being a real thing, or a real situation to where we talked about it. I ended up moving over here for the sake of my son at the time. And now I'm stuck out here. But yeah, I moved out here for the sake of my son and just allow my son to build a stronger relationship with his father. So I took that sacrifice. When I mean I took that sacrifice, I really took that sacrifice, because at the time I had just started my job in EMS probably a year before. So I was at my job for about a good year. And then I had applied for Santa Clara County Sheriff's Department Correctional Division, and I was going through the interview process. And I was down to my last two segments of my interview, which was my lie detector test and then my drug test, and then I would have been hired. They wanted me to be hired on, so I was already a good candidate. But I had to, rescind my, withdraw my application because I made a decision to move to Atlanta.
Right.
And mind you, at the time, Santa Clara County Correctional Division started their, correctional officers off at around 50, anywhere from 50 grand all the way up to 90 grand a year. So I took a hell of a pay cut.
Yeah. Big time.
To move out here. And, that's how I ended up getting stuck in Georgia.
She's just stuck. So, okay, you get to Georgia, and what happens from here?
So I get to Georgia, all optimistic and everything, all happy, like, oh yeah, this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
Yay! So I move out here. I got hired on before I moved out here. I got hired on with Rural Metro, which was an ambulance company. They no longer exist. They got bought out by AMR, which is American Medical Response. And I worked with them for a good 4-5 years or so before I decided to take my personal trainer finally full time. I ran 911 for those 5 years. So I went from granny tote tags to running 911 for 5 years.
Right.
I enjoyed that job because I enjoy serving people. I enjoy, helping people, regardless of what facet I'm helping you in. Whether it's fitness, health, or just, advice. I just enjoy helping people, and it brings me joy. It makes me happy to know that I was able to help somebody move forward in life. But yeah, okay, so I was doing 911 calls, and AMR is a private division company, meaning that it's not ran by the state. It's leased by the county or the city to run their 911 calls. AMR were losing their contract within South Fulton County around the time, so a lot of people start, quitting or getting fired for whatever reason. However, whoever stayed on around that time got ran like dogs. Worked a lot of overtime that nobody agreed to working. So say I worked a 12-hour shift, end up turning into a 16-hour shift, or so after doing that for a good 6 to 8 months, you get burnt out. Like, I'm finding that I'm not liking to pick up patients. Like, and being, mean, and it's just like, is the reason why I don't understand why people in the medical field or any job that serves people, once you start getting that feeling of not liking your job, regardless of if it's the company or not, it's time to move on to something that you enjoy to relieve that stress, because then you're going to start having some type of negligence, patient malpractice suits, of you not giving proper care to a patient. I'm like, I don't want that to be me, because that could end me up in jail for life. So it's like, once I got to that stress, that breaking point for my stress, I was like, you know what? I'm about to go on PRN, which is mean as needed. I'm going to come on as needed. And then end up turning into me just, not even coming in to work 911 calls, and just really, and I was like, I'm just about to do my fitness full time.
Okay.
And that's what happened. That's how I was like, I enjoy being here and not there, so I'm going to stay here. And that's where I'm at today.
So, okay, at this point in time, now you decided to go full time with your fitness. So you had been, over the course of how many years had you been doing it?
Fitness off and on since 2008.
2008? And
Yeah.
is that when you decided to take it serious?
I decided to take it serious back in end of 2017. Was when I went like PRN with the job. And then like 2018, I was like, you know what? I'm a stay. So
Right.
I end up getting, paying for my LLC in 2018. In since then, I haven't looked back.
Now, can you describe the feeling? Like, what, like, were you scared, nervous? Like, what was going through your head when you decided, hey, I'm about to do this full time. I'm about to try it out.
No, I was never scared. I was never nervous, just because I've always been a risk taker.
I like that.
So I was never scared. I'm like, shoot. I was more so happy, like, I get to make my own hours.
Right,
you
most
know,
definitely.
I get to wake up when I feel like it. You know, I get to tell, my clients what time I'm coming in. My day starts at such and such time, so you can either come in around between these times and work. If not, then, hey, you need to find another trader who want to work 12 hours a day just to train.
Right.
No, I'm not about to burn myself out doing this. Like, I literally, with training, I literally probably only work about 5 to 6 hours a day.
Right.
A training.
Now, 5 to 6 hours a day, but can you talk about, like, the mindset that it takes to do what you do, and like, not only with the training, just as an entrepreneur too, like, what kind of mindset it takes? Cause you came from, that's why I want y'all to hear the stories, perfect out the mud stories she came from. So, like, kind of talk about the mindset, the mental aspect of it.
You have to have the mindset of never giving up, no matter what. Even when you feel like giving up, you're like, nah, I can't give up. You have to have a really tough spirit, like a fighter spirit. Like, being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart.
Right.
If you fear anything when it comes to just being your own person, entrepreneurship is not for you. You are meant to work in the working field. You are meant to work for somebody, because you don't have the guts to just take a leap of faith and just be like, you know what? No matter how it turns out, I'm still gonna make it happen. I'm gonna make something happen. If I gotta get a part-time job while being an entrepreneur, then I gotta get a part-time job just to make extra money. But my main focus and my main job is still my business.
Right.
So it's like, if you gotta pick up a shift with Uber Eats, then go pick up that shift with Uber Eats, just to make the extra buck for a bill or something. Like, you have to have a hustler spirit. You have to be a hustler, and you have to be self-motivated.
Right.
If you not a hustler, and if you've never seen nobody that was close to you out there hustling to make crap happen for themselves, then you it's just not in you to be an entrepreneur, because you're going to give up the moment that tough times come. Like, just starting this, just being an entrepreneur or doing this full time for 2 years, I've had more failures than I've had successes, and that's the truth. Like, it's times where I'm like, I don't know how I'm about to pay my car note this month, but they not gonna find me.
Right.
I know when the third month come around, they gonna come looking for me. So let me go out here and drive Uber. Let me go drive Lyft. Let me go do Postmates. Let me do something that's still independent. That's an independent contractor type of job. I still get to make my own hours. It works around whatever schedule I got going on that day. And it's just a flick of a switch. So it's like, if you don't have that mindset to find gigs and jobs that work around your schedule, or even just your business, then you're not gonna make it.
It's true facts. This major facts, man. Like, she dropping some gems. I hope y'all picking them up. So I want her to come on here and tell her story too. So, okay, you just talked about the mindset and everything. Now, like, up to now, like, she got accomplishments and stuff too. Like, she is a pro bodybuilder and stuff. How did it make you feel, like, when you became, like, officially pro? And what did it take to get up to that point?
Man, when I became officially pro, I was happy. It was a great feeling, because I a lot of bodybuilders, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of bodybuilders before they even become pro compete for, almost for 3 to 5 years or plus before a lot of them become pros. I got my pro card within 2 competing seasons, so you can say 2 years or so. I've done, within those 2 years, I've probably done like maybe 10 or 15 shows total. It's been a lot of pros who've done 20 plus shows before they became pro. So I'm grateful that, I had, that the judges seen potential in me to even want to give me a pro card. But honestly, what it takes to even become pro is mindset. If you don't have the mindset to be a pro, you're not gonna make pro. So it's like you have to be disciplined in your ways. You have to be disciplined in your eating, in your schedule, like your sleeping schedule, your eating schedule. Like everything has to be on a set schedule. And when it's not, you're not going to be successful. If you let outside stresses get to you, you're not going to do well within the bodybuilding field, because literally to become a bodybuilder, you have to cut off a lot of things. Partying, friends, family, even sometimes your children. I'm not going to lie, you have to shut them out mentally, because any little stress can detour you off of your plan or your goal. Because a lot of people, when they stress, they tend to emotionally eat, or they tend not to eat. And if you are either or and you're a bodybuilder, guess what happens when you emotionally eat? You gain weight. When you emotionally don't eat, you still gain weight. And they're both bad weight, because it's like when you eat bad crap, you tend to set your body back, with every bad carb, sugar, everything that's not on your plan, calorie, because you're eating on a certain type of calorie deficit or a calorie intake daily, that if you tend to undereat or overeat those calories, your body will react. So the next day you'll wake up bloated, you'll wake up feeling heavy and looking like crap. So it's like you have to be really, really strict, and really you have to cut a lot of things out in order to just be successful in the bodybuilding world, period.
Right.
That's why if you look at, Olympia, if any one of you follow bodybuilding in any, form on a professional level, the 2 top shows are the Arnold and the Olympia. And if you look at the top 5 athletes that are on stage at the finals, you would know that they cut everybody out. Like, sometimes people have to break up with their boyfriend and girlfriends just to be successful in bodybuilding. Like, there's a lot of people who don't have relationships because you have partners that don't understand the lifestyle. So that's why a lot of bodybuilders date bodybuilders, because of the simple fact, like, okay, I know what you need around this time. Let me, if you're getting ready for a show, you want somebody who's going to help you prep your food, because you're going to be dog ass tired. You want somebody that's going to prep your food, not stress you out, not cause unnecessary arguments over petty stuff, because that causes stress, which makes you bloat, which, changes your hormonal reactions and your pH balance and your chemistry within your body, that, it could really fuck you up and cost you that win. So it's like, you cut partying out, you cut alcohol out, you cut bad food out. If your coach hasn't given to you, you don't eat it. You follow the plan 110,000%.
Most definitely.
It's a very disciplined sport. And if you don't have a disciplined bone in your body, then you're not going to be successful in it. So.
And see, I asked you that because I already knew her response. Excuse me, y'all. And everything she said is right parallel with being an entrepreneur. It's the same thing. Discipline, everything.
Yeah. Like, we even been with an entrepreneur, you have to cut all of the wrong people out of your life. So, because you're always going to have those naysayers or those haters or whatever you want to call them, that the doubters that always going to doubt you. And when you feel that type of energy, any type of negative energy, you're going to have to cut them off, even if it's not permanently, but you're going to have to like push them to the side, because they're going to pretty much take you off track and get in your head, and you're going to get in your emotions, and you're going to end up losing, you know, everything you worked so hard for. Like you cannot afford or even allow anybody to throw you off track, because when you do, you can't blame them. You know, that's your fault for allowing that to happen. Like, you have to own to every fuck up you ever have as an entrepreneur.
Exactly.
You cannot place blame on nobody as an entrepreneur, because it's all you. You are in control of what happens and what don't happen.
That's different.
And it's like, it's very seldom to things that are out of your control when you're an entrepreneur. Like, getting a loan is out of your control, whether they say yes or no, you know, things like that. But you going out there and being a hustler and getting your money the best way you can, you are in control of making that money.
Right.
You are in control of getting those clients. You are in control of you know, selling yourself or selling your product. That is in your control.
Right, most definitely. And see,
alright, y'all, so we had got cut off and had to merge the clips. But yeah, y'all heard it's still like it's kind of hard to capture a person's complete story, but the purpose of this Out the Mud series is to show y'all that stuff in life not all peaches and cream and all of that, and you have to go through something. You got to have the right mindset to be where these individuals are in life and everything. And y'all heard Terry's story and everything. She really, it's a motivational story, man. If you look at this, you listen to this whole story, don't get motivated. Like I said with the other story, it's just not in you. It's not in you, man. Like, this should do something to you. Like, when you hear she went through all of that, and here she is sitting in front of this camera, business owner on this channel. She doing her thing. She about to hit 10,000 some followers on Instagram. Like, pro bodybuilder, knocking these goals down and stuff. So, what you want to close out with?
Even today, I have struggles. Like, you know, Jay said, it ain't peaches and cream. Don't think none of it's easy. You gotta work your ass off if you want to succeed, and you're gonna have more failures than successes. But with those failures, the best thing you can do is learn from them. And that's the key, is learning from those failures, learning how to maneuver. If you run into that situation again, learning how to maneuver and make it work for you the next time you're faced with the same or similar situation. The thing is, you don't want to continue to bump into the same problems, because if you do, then you know the issue is definitely you and not anything that's outside of you. If you're continuing to run into the same type of problems. But it ain't easy. It's hard. You have to have you gotta have a hustler spirit. You gotta have a hustler mentality. You cannot give up. If you ever, like, I'm not gonna say that I've never thought about not giving up, because you do. As an entrepreneur, you think about giving up every time you hit a roadblock. Like, fuck, I'm just gonna go get a job. Nah, I ain't working for nobody.
Not at all.
I'm not working for nobody after having freedom. No. You just have to be bold enough to just go for it. Just take that leap of faith, because once you take that leap of faith and figure out that freedom, like, you will never go back to the workforce ever again, regardless of how bad it gets. Like, you will figure out a way to stay working for yourself.
That is true.
Y'all can even look at Kanye's story. 4 years ago, that man was $56 million in debt. Now this man is a billionaire 4 years later. So that says something. He didn't give up. He kept trying, even when he was flat broke. So you just got to pull your resources together, regardless of how small they are. Everybody has resources. That person you met on the train, you got a business card to, that is a resource. Use them.
Yep.
You know, network. Go to networking parties. You know, get your name out there, get your business out there. You know, get your product out there. Don't be afraid to do it. If you got scatterbrained, see a doctor. But at the same time, still fight through it. Like, you gotta fight through it. Like, I deal with, I would say I haven't been clinically diagnosed yet because I haven't never went to the doctor, but I know I deal with ADHD because I have a hard time focusing on one thing at a time. Like, I can sit down and be like, okay, I'm about to read this book, or I'm about to sit down and I'm about to study. Literally, 10 minutes later, I'm probably watching a whole episode on Netflix. Like,
Right,
it's
right.
bad. Or I'm probably in the kitchen, or, you know, cleaning or something, or cooking, or, you know, end up washing clothes or something. So, but that's my daily struggle. Like, I daily struggle with that. And I have to find, you know, I kind of force my way back most times, but sometimes majority of the time I don't. But I still get it done every day. I still get it done
Salute.
every day.
Salute.
So just don't give up. That's my advice. Never give up. No matter how hard it gets, how discouraged you get. And one thing being an entrepreneur is you don't look for support, outside support, because for the most part, when you're at the bottom, it's not going to be there. It is not going to be there. You're going to look for support from your family, from your friends. You're going to have more strangers supporting you than you do people that are close to you. You might have one or two that'll be like, okay, I believe you. I'm gonna put into your business, but they only gonna put into your business that one time. They're not gonna keep putting into your business. They're not gonna keep promoting your business. They're not gonna be like, hey, my best friend or my sister or my brother or my daughter, you know, she's a personal trainer, or, you know, he sells cars. They're not gonna always push people your way. That's why you have to go out there and be a hustler. You got to go out there and get it out the mud yourself. Because the majority of the time, you're not going to have supporters until you make it. Until people look at you like, oh, you successful. And then they're going to hop on the train. That's how it always works. It's sad, but that's just how the world works. And you can't get discouraged by it. That is my closing notes.
All right, y'all. So on that note,
Hey, I want everybody to go follow on Tier Instagram on the screen. And this episode 2, we out.